What's up guys, Menny Lindenfeld here and I'm excited to bring you Tempus. With Tempus you will perform the cleanest and most believable watch-stopping demonstrations that looks and feels like real mind power, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to master. With the Tempus system, you can stop single and multiple borrowed watches. And once you stop a watch, you can freely handle the watch, you can let go of the watch, or you can let the spectator hold the watch. The watch will remain dead, and it will only come back to life and tick again at your command. You will learn how to stop a watch close up, frontal, on zoom, in the spectator's hands. Additionally, you will learn how to use the Tempus system for effects unrelated to watch stopping, including a routine where you mentally synchronize two unsynced watches. You will learn to stop your own watch while you wear it on the wrist and without coming near with the other hand. And to stop a clock as it hangs on the wall. Check this out. You can see both clocks on the wall, they both work. Now let me try something. And stop. You can see that this clock right here has stopped while this clock is still working. Let me make it work again and go. Additionally, you will learn never published before watch-stopping secrets. You will learn how to control a watch with a chronograph and stop the main dial and each of the sub-dials in the watch individually. You will also learn how to cause the stopwatch in a chronograph to self-start without pressing any buttons. Tempus comes with gimmicks and accessories, plus an in-depth masterclass where I teach the most advanced watch-stopping secrets, techniques and routines which I've refined and perfected for 2 decades. You will learn the Tempus system, 12 powerful routines with watches, and how to best sell the telekinesis effect to your audience and make them believe that you are superhuman. Hey guys, Menny Lindenfeld here and welcome to Tempus. Tempus is an in-depth course in the art of watch stopping. What I share with you here in this masterclass are secrets I've never shared with anyone before. What you get is knowledge that took me almost 2 decades to develop and refine. In this first episode, I teach you the method behind Tempus and the fundamentals of watch stopping. To better understand how it works, you will get a peek under the hood of both a mechanical and quartz watches. You will learn what type of watch to use and not to use, and how to identify and borrow the right watch for performing watch stopping. Then in the following episodes 2 and 3, which are packed with multiple watch stopping techniques and routines, you will learn how to stop a watch in almost any situation you may find yourself in. Close up, frontal, virtual zoom show, in the spectator's hands, on the table, on your wrist, just to name a few. You will also learn how to individually stop each of the dials in a chronograph, stop a watch fully impromptu, and how to stop a clock on the wall. Additionally, you will learn never published before routines that secretly use the Tempus method for effects completely unrelated to watch stopping. It's important that you watch this first episode all the way through before you continue to the next, because here in this episode you will get the foundations you need for performing watch stopping like a pro. I guarantee you the time and effort you will put into mastering Tempus will be very rewarding. You will get killer watch stopping routines and techniques in your arsenal that are guaranteed to generate insane reactions from your audience every time you perform. With Tempus, you receive the following items: 3 small skin-colored magnets, 2 silver magnets, 2 velvet stickers, 1 very thin magnet, also silver, 1 reusable polymer adhesive, aka blue tack, 1 extension gimmick, aka the slider gimmick, and 1 tin box. You should be very careful with the magnets because they are fragile, especially this magnet right here. The very thin magnet is super fragile, so be very careful with it. You don't want to drop any magnets from a distance onto another magnet, onto the tin box or on the table. So be very gentle with them. In Tempus, we will mostly use the small skin-colored magnets you received, and at the end of the tutorial I will also teach you how to work with this gimmick. I call this gimmick the slider gimmick. The slider gimmick is a very old method of mine, and I've decided to add this with Tempus as a bonus. Watch stopping is a visual telekinesis effect where you cause an analog watch to stop ticking through mind power. That watch will remain dead until you decide to make it tick again. You have full control. For those of you who are not familiar with the watch stopping technique, here's a brief overview of how it works. You can basically stop a watch in 2 ways. The first one is by simply pulling the stem out. When you pull the stem out, as you can see, the second hand has now stopped working, and when I press it back in, the second hand continues to work normally. Pulling the knob out will only work on a quartz watch, but will not work on a mechanical watch. If I take the mechanical watch and I pull the knob out, you can see that the watch continues to work. I can wind the watch, but the second hand continues to work normally. The second method is by using a magnet. If I bring the magnet close to the watch, you can now see that the watch has stopped working, and when I remove the magnet from the watch will continue working normally. A magnet will stop both a mechanical watch and a quartz watch. There are many great gimmicks out there intended for watch stopping, and I've tried most of these gimmicks over the years, and I've noticed that every single gimmick that I've ever tried has a very powerful magnet hidden inside it. And this makes perfect sense, because the stronger the magnetic field in the magnet, the larger the distance you can use it to stop a watch. What I offer you in this tutorial is a very different approach. Instead of the most powerful magnet, I was actually looking for the least powerful magnet. I was looking for a magnet that is so weak that it can only stop a watch when it comes in full physical contact with the watch and in a very specific spot on the watch. This unusual approach opened the door to many new, never seen before effects and techniques, bringing watch stopping to a whole new level. Here I will explain how a magnet causes a quartz watch to stop. I will explain the method behind Tempus and why I specifically chose the magnets that you have received. So let's take a look inside a quartz watch. A quartz watch contains a tiny quartz crystal which is inside this little component. The quartz crystal is responsible for the precision of the watch. In a quartz watch, what sets the hands in motion is a stepping motor which is powered by a battery. When you bring a magnet close to the watch, the motor is affected by magnetism and causes the watch to stop. When you remove the magnet, the watch comes back to life. A mechanical watch is not operated by a battery. What sets the hands in motion in a mechanical watch is a set of gears powered by a spring called a mainspring. The mainspring is hidden under this wheel, which is called the ratchet wheel. When you wind the watch by turning the crown, it tightens the mainspring underneath the ratchet wheel, and when the mainspring releases its tension, it releases energy which powers the entire gear of the watch. This right here is called the balance wheel, which is connected to the balance spring, also known as the hairspring, and the balance wheel and spring regulates the time in a mechanical watch. When you bring a magnet close to the watch, it affects the mainspring and causes the watch to stop. You should be aware because a magnet can magnetize a mechanical watch, especially a very strong magnet, and removing the magnet from the watch will not help. So stay away from mechanical watches, especially when performing with very strong magnets. The method behind Tempus is something I call the hot zone, cold zone method. And it solves a few problems I always had with traditional watch stopping techniques. With traditional techniques, you always have to hide a magnet or a gimmick on yourself, and then when you wanted to stop a watch, you had to hold the watch in a certain position and then maintain that position when you wanted to display the dead watch around. This is not a very natural way to handle a watch. With the hot zone, cold zone method, the magnet hides directly on the watch. You can load the magnet long time before you're actually going to perform, and that watch is going to run and work normally until you decide to make it stop. With the hot zone, cold zone method, you can hold the watch in any position you like. You can use different handlings with different types of watches or different situations that you are performing in. You don't have to hold the watch in a certain position when you want to display the dead watch around. You can basically handle the watch freely and naturally before and after stopping the watch. Using the hot zone, cold zone method, you can focus 100% on presentation. And you can make watch stopping look and feel real. And when you make it feel real, the audience are going to believe it's real. And when they believe it's real, it elevates the wow effect and generates much stronger reactions from them. The idea for the method behind Tempus came to me a long time ago when I was opening a watch to change the battery, and I've noticed something very interesting. I've noticed that the mechanism of the watch is much smaller than the actual case of the watch. There is lots of empty space around the mechanism, especially with a large watch, with a large case. The larger the case, the more empty space you have around the mechanism. I refer to the space around the mechanism as the cold zone. I call the area where the mechanism is as the hot zone. So you have the cold zone and the hot zone. This led me to the idea of using a very weak magnet that you can load onto the watch at the back cover of the watch and position it at the cold zone. With the magnet positioned at the cold zone, the watch will continue ticking normally and will not be affected by the magnet because these magnets have a very low magnetic field. When you want to stop the watch, all you have to do is slide the magnet from cold to hot zone and the watch will stop. When you want to make the watch work again, simply slide the magnet back from hot to cold zone, either upwards or downwards. Basically, I'm using the magnet as an on and off switch. The magnet is always attached to the watch itself, and you can either make it stop or make it work again, but the magnet will always remain attached to the watch. After you load the magnet on the watch, you don't have to hold the magnet in place. It will stick to the back of the watch because most back covers of watches are made of stainless steel. Even with watches that don't have a stainless steel back. For example, this one right here is a very cheap watch with a plastic back cover, but as you can see, the magnet will still stick to it. And that is because the metal components of the mechanism inside the watch are made of metal, so the magnet will always stick to any watch. The cold zone is basically the entire circle around the mechanism, but you don't want to have the magnet on the right or left side of the watch. The magnet can be easier seen from the side, and from the other side where the crown is, the crown will mask the view of the magnet, but you don't want to come close with your fingers to the crown. So always have the magnet at the cold zone either on top or the bottom, because the straps of the watch basically cover that area from view and no one will ever see the magnet. With the magnet loaded in cold zone, the watch runs normally and no one will ever suspect anything. You can even place the watch on the table with the magnet loaded and get back to it later in the show when you want to perform with it. Same thing with the magnet in hot zone. You can freely handle and show the dead watch around, even place it on the table and step back. The watch will remain stopped until you decide to make it work again. And your hands are still clean all this time. Quartz watches come in various variations. Watches that just show time, watches that show time and date, more sophisticated quartz watches with a chronograph, watches that also show night and day. All these types of watches can be easily stopped using a magnet. A chronograph watch has an analog stopwatch combined in the watch. It has two individual second hands. One second hand displays the time and the other displays the seconds in a stopwatch. Later in this tutorial, I will show you how to cause both second hands to stop individually. There are also quartz watches without a second hand in the dial. They only come with hour and minute hands. These watches are less common, and even though a magnet can easily stop these watches, without a second hand nobody will know, because there is no visual indication when the watch has stopped. So avoid these types of watches. Is a quartz watch safe to use around magnets? And the answer is yes, it is safe to use around magnets. Once the magnet is taken away from the watch will work again like new. A mechanical analog watch is not powered by a battery, instead it is powered by a mainspring, and you have to manually wind the watch to make it work. There are two types of mechanical watches, manual and automatic. In a manual watch you have to manually wind the watch to make it work. With an automatic analog watch, also called automatic movement, the watch will wind itself automatically using kinetic energy. The kinetic energy is caused by the natural movement of your hand and wrist when you wear the watch and do your everyday activities. Is it safe to use around magnets? And the answer is no. Mechanical watches are not safe around magnets. A mechanical watch can be magnetized when exposed to strong magnetic fields, and taking away the magnet will not help. If the balance wheel in a mechanical watch gets magnetized, it will add friction and bias to the system, and the watch will likely slow down or stop completely, and the watch will not operate normally. The way to examine if a mechanical watch is magnetized is by using a very simple compass. If you see the needle in the compass moving when over the watch, that means that the watch is magnetized. If the needle does not move, the watch is okay. You should know that a magnetized mechanical watch is not permanently damaged. It can easily be demagnetized using something called a demagnetizer. Any watchmaker can demagnetize a watch, or you can demagnetize a watch yourself using a demagnetizer that you can buy online for about $15. I bought this one over Amazon and it works perfectly for this. To demagnetize a watch, all you have to do is basically place that magnetized watch on top of the demagnetizer, press this button for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then remove the watch, and that watch will be demagnetized. If you look right here, you can see now that the compass does not move when over the watch, that means that this watch has been demagnetized. A digital watch is also a quartz watch. This watch cannot be stopped with a magnet because there are no moving components inside that watch. Same thing for smart watches, they cannot be stopped with a magnet. Desk clocks and wall clocks come either digital or analog, and they are both quartz clocks. The analog version can be stopped with a magnet, while the digital version cannot be stopped with a magnet. When performing watch stopping, never use a mechanical watch. Mechanical watches are not safe around magnets. Always look for a quartz watch. A quartz watch is safe around magnets, can easily be stopped with a magnet, and will run perfectly after you remove the magnet from the watch. And quartz watches are the most easy and common watches to find. In fact, 90 to 95% of all analog watches produced these days are quartz watches, and only 5 to 10% of the watches produced are mechanical watches. I personally try to avoid very expensive watches, even if they are quartz, just to be on the safe side, because some of these very expensive watches are very delicate, and I wouldn't want to be held responsible if anything should have happened to that watch. It's easier and safer to simply look for another watch from another spectator. Like I've mentioned, you always want to look for a quartz watch when you are about to perform watch stopping. The easiest way to do this is by simply looking at the watch. If it says quartz, you know it's a quartz, and if it says automatic, it means an automatic mechanical movement, and you don't want to use these types of watches. Sometimes it will not say quartz, and you can identify it by simply looking at the second hand. If the second hand moves in a step-like motion once per second, you know it's a quartz watch. This type of movement is also called a dead second movement. In mechanical watches, the second hand moves in a smooth sweep motion, so you will immediately know you should avoid this type of watch. You can also pull the crown out to the position where you can set the time. In a quartz watch, the second hand will stop. In mechanical watches, the second hand will continue ticking normally. The good news is that quartz watches are the most common and easy to find. Even nowadays, with many people wearing smartwatches, quartz watches are still a big thing, and you will always find someone wearing a quartz watch that you can use for watch stopping. When you want to examine the watch, if it is a quartz, you don't have to ask the spectator to remove the watch from his wrist. Simply ask to look at the watch on his wrist, look at the watch, and you will immediately know if you can use it or not. We will start by preparing the magnets we need for Tempus. All you have to do is stick a little tiny ball of blue tack onto the magnets. It's fast, it's simple, and it will last you for many performances. What you need for this are the skin-colored magnets and some blue tack. Prepare a tiny ball of blue tack. The size is about 4 millimeters in diameter. If you compare it to the size of the magnets, this is how small it is. Attach the blue ball to the center of the magnet, then press the ball flat using your fingers. Prepare the remaining 2 colored magnets the same exact way. But before you do, what you want to do is attach them on the clean side of the already prepared magnet, and this way you will know on which side of the magnets to attach the blue tack balls. What you want is all the magnets prepared in the same orientation. If the ball of blue tack you have prepared is too large, the excess of the blue tack will overflow around the magnet, So what you want to do is cut off that excess and is not showing from the outer side of the magnet. The tin box that you have received is used for multiple purposes. It's used for safekeeping everything you got inside the box when you don't want to perform, and it's also used to prepare the magnets in standby for when you want to perform with them. I like to keep the blue tack attached to the cover of the box. This way I don't have to remove the putty from the box every time I want to take out a magnet, and I don't have to place it back later on. You remove the protective sheet on one side and then stick the entire block onto the center of the cover. Now, when you open the cover, the putty stays where you want it. When you need a piece of putty, remove it from the cover, take out a piece and stick it back on. The very thin magnet that you have received is very fragile. Later I will explain what to do with this magnet, but for now what you want to do is safe keep it by attaching it to the center of the box cover and place the putty over it as explained. This will keep the magnet safe for later on. When you don't need the magnets for performing, it's always better to have the magnets inside the box, and this way you can carry the box in your pocket or in your bag, and when you want to perform you have easy access to the magnets inside. To store the magnets correctly inside the box, you want to stick the magnets onto your fingertip and attach it to one of the inner corners on the side panel of the box. Do the same with the rest of the magnets. This way it's easy to remove them from the box when you need them, and you won't have to fight it to get it out. If you have the magnet at the bottom of the box, you will need to move them to the corners to get them out. The box is also used for holding the magnets in standby for when you need them for performance. What you want to do is remove the magnets from the box, sliding them out from the corners, close the box, and then stick the magnets or magnets on top of the box with the blue tack on the outer side so that the putty does not stick to the box itself. Now place the box inside your pocket with the magnet pointing outwards. You can also have the tin box in your back pocket the same way, always with the magnet away from you. You can have a single magnet in standby on the box, or if you want, you can have multiple magnets prepared on the box. If you use multiple magnets, separate the magnets to avoid them sticking to each other. You can also have two magnets prepared in standby on the box in opposite side of the box, one on top and one on the bottom. It's a good idea to always have the magnets in standby when you know that you are about to use the magnets, either now or later on during the day. You can safely walk around with the box and magnets in standby while in your pocket without the worry of them getting lost. But if you know that you are not going to use the magnets, place them back in the box to prevent the putty from catching fibers from the inner lining of the pocket. When you need the magnets for performance, have the magnets ready in standby outside on the tin box as explained. To load the magnet into a finger palm, all you have to do is place your hand inside your pocket and load the magnet into a finger palm. What you do is, with your hand in your pocket, you will grab the magnet by placing the finger over it and then slide the magnet up along the box, and as soon as the magnet is near the edge of the box, use your thumb to lift the magnet off the box and push it into the flesh of your finger. When the magnet clears the box, keep the thumb attached to the finger and press on the magnet, and this will firmly attach the magnet to the finger. All this should happen while the hand is still inside your pocket, and it should take you only a very brief moment to steal the magnet and position it into a finger palm. When the hand clears out of the pocket, you can loosen the fingers. The magnet will stick to the finger by the blue tack, so you don't have to hold the magnet in place. And with the hands and fingers loose, you can be very casual with your hands when you talk and do other actions. As long as you don't expose the magnet, no one will know that you have a magnet attached to your finger. Here I did load the magnet into a finger palm on the middle joint of the middle finger. You can also have the magnet stick on any other joint of the finger or any other finger, or if you want, on the fingertip. To load the magnet onto the middle fingertip, for example, what you want to do is steal the magnet the same way as I've explained, but instead of touching the magnet with the center joint of the finger, you will touch the magnet with the fingertip. Then slide along the box and lift as before. To load the magnet onto your thumb, you will need the magnet in standby on the opposite side of the tin box. Simply have the box with the magnet pointing inwards, and you will steal the magnet with the thumb and use the index finger this time to help free the magnet from the box. As I've mentioned before, you can have multiple magnets in standby. You can either load a few magnets on the same finger in different positions, or you can have the magnets loaded on separate fingers. You can have multiple magnets stacked with putty only on the topmost magnet and load the entire stack onto your finger as one magnet. And I will talk more about this later on. The tin box was custom made for Tempus and has no hinges. This allows you to fully separate the cover from the box. This is intended for loading magnets on both hands. Prepare a magnet in standby on opposite sides of the box, one on the cover and one on the box itself, and then separate the box and cover and place the cover in one pocket and the box in the other pocket. So this way you have a magnet prepared in standby in each pocket, and you can reach in with both hands and steal a magnet for each hand. This is great when you want to stop multiple watches in one routine and need a magnet loaded in each hand. When you take out the magnet from the pocket, you should do this in an offbeat moment, when you talk to the audience or a few moments before you want to actually perform. You should be very casual when you do this. Don't make a big deal about it, don't act guilty, and don't drag any unwanted attention to it. You can also steal the magnet as you take something out of the pocket. For example, take out a Sharpie while you also come out with the magnet already prepared in a finger palm. When your fingers are wet or too sweaty, the blue tack may not stick well to the finger, so always make sure that your fingers are completely dry. The tin box is also used for unloading or ditching the magnets after you have done performing. Simply reach into your pocket with your hand and let the tin box attract the magnet from your finger. The magnet will now be back on the box in standby, ready for the next time you want to perform. Before we continue, I want to share with you a few alternative magnet holders I've used over the years. You can use any of these holders instead of the tin box. You can use multiple holders for performing watch stopping. And what you would do, for example, have the tin box in your pocket with the magnet standby on the tin box. You will steal the magnet with your finger from the pocket and then ditch the magnet onto any of these holders instead of the tin box. This is a holder I made for the magnet using my business cards. And it's basically a stack of cards. All the cards are normal cards that you can hand out except one card, which is the card at the bottom of the stack. As you can see, it is very convenient to steal the magnet from the card stack. You can steal the magnet from the card in your pocket instead of the tin box, or with the stack actually on the table in front of the spectators. And you will steal the magnet from the card stack as you shift the card stack from one hand to the other. If you want to ditch the magnet after the end of the performance, all you have to do is pick up the stack and hand some cards out to the audience, and at the same time get rid of the magnet. What I did, I simply used the very thin magnet, the one hiding under the blue tack in your tin box, and I simply glued it with sellotape onto the center of the front side of the card. What you want to do is make sure that you attach it the correct orientation. So what you want to do is first place the skin tone magnet under the center of the card, under the card, and place the thin magnets on top of the card, the skin tone magnet under the card will attract the thin magnet the correct orientation, and then you will place sellotape on top of it and you can remove the skin tone magnet, and basically the card is ready. You want to have this card at the bottom of the stack of your other business cards, and you will bound everything together with a rubber band. You can have a magnet attached to a magnetic coin and keep the coin in your pockets. Or if you have a coin that attracts magnets, you can use it as well. You can use the AirPod case as a magnet holder. With the AirPods in your pocket, you can easily steal the magnet from the case and then later ditch it back on. This is something I call the watch strap holder, and it is one of my personal favorite methods that I've used for many years. What's great about this holder is that the magnet is always ready for you for when you need it, and stealing the magnet from the watch is very easy. Same thing is for ditching the magnet back onto the strap. All you have to do is put it back as you look at the time, and then simply insert the end of the strap into the ring, and this will keep the magnet concealed and protected when you don't use it. What I did here is attach the thin magnet onto the end of the inner side of the strap of my watch, and this way I can attach the skin tone magnet onto the strap. There are two ways to attach the thin magnet onto the strap: by gluing the magnet onto the strap, or by attaching it without gluing so that you can remove it later on when you want to. What you want to do is wear the watch on your wrist as usual. You want to attach the magnet right here in between the ring and buckle on the inner side of the strap. What you want to do is mark the spot with a center dot on the inner side of the strap so that you know the location where you want to glue the thin magnet on. Before you attach the thin magnet to the strap, what you want to do is attach it to the skin tone magnet so that you know which orientation that magnet should be glued onto the strap. You want to be very gentle when attaching the thin magnet to the skin tone magnet to prevent the thin magnet from breaking. It's very important. This magnet is very delicate. What you want to do now is mark the top of the magnet with a center dot so that you know the orientation of the magnet. And now what you want to do is glue the magnet with the dot against the strap. This way the color magnet sticks to the holder with the clear side on and the blue tack away. You don't want the magnet sticking on the thin magnet with the blue tack down. If you don't want to glue the magnet permanently onto the strap, what you can do is use something called a shrink tube. A shrink tube is usually used for coating electrical wires, but you can actually use this as a holder here. Those tubes can be easily found on Amazon or anywhere online. Simply look for shrink tubes and you will find them in any size you are looking for. What you need is a tube that is a bit wider than the strap of your watch. What you want to do is place the magnet over the mark at the inner side of the strap, or simply place the magnet with the mark down against the mark on the strap. You can actually use a small piece of blue tack to hold the magnet in place. Now what you want to do is sleeve the tube over the strap and magnet, and you want to make sure that the magnet does not move off position. Now what you are going to do is shrink the tube over the strap. And you want to do this with a heat gun or a simple lighter. So if you are using a lighter, I suggest that you cover the strap with foil paper first, and this will prevent the strap from getting sooted. Simply hold the lighter with the flame from a distance and apply heat around the tube to make it shrink. If you are using a watch with silicone strap, it's probably better to use the tube for attaching the magnet onto the strap because not many types of glue will stick well onto silicone. And the great thing about this is that you can actually remove the magnet whenever you want to, simply by sleeving off the tube from the strap and then removing the magnet. If you decide to glue the magnet permanently onto the strap, you want to make sure the magnet glues well. You don't want it to fall off at any time. What you want to do is clean the strap with alcohol, and the easiest way is to use alcohol wipes or pads. What you want to do is clean the moisture, oil and dirt from the strap before you are gluing the magnet on it. Let the alcohol dry for a minute before you glue the magnet onto the strap. Gluing the magnet onto the strap works perfectly for leather, fake leather, or canvas straps. What you want to do is use good quality contact glue for it. Smear glue on the magnets and on the strap from the inside, and what you want to do is wait for the glue to dry for a few minutes and then glue everything in place. Then tighten everything and let it dry completely. Don't try super glue for this because super glue will not hold the magnet very well for a long time and it will fall off very quickly. You can also cover the end of the strap and magnet with a small piece of fabric. What I did here is glue it on and then trim the extra fabric around the shape of the strap. I used a small piece of fabric from an old leftover cloth I had. I cut off a piece and glued it onto my strap, and again I then trimmed off the extra around the shape of the strap, and that's all I had to do. This way the magnet hides much better because nobody can ever see the thin magnet, and it makes the strap look better and it will ensure that the magnet is more secure in place. If you want, you can get an extra watch strap specially for the magnet holder. You want to get a strap with a quick release. The quick release has a small knob at the end of the strap, and this lets you easily exchange straps on the watch when you want to without using special watch repair tools, and it will take you only a brief moment to do so. Have the collar magnet attached to the strap, and when you are ready to use it, all you have to do is unhook the strap from the ring and then steal the magnet from the holder with the right middle finger, like so. Same thing if you want to ditch the magnet back onto the strap. All you have to do is put it back as you look at the time and then simply insert the end of the band back into the ring, and this will keep the magnet concealed when not in use. What's great about using a magnet holder on the watch is that it does not take any pocket space. The magnet is always ready for you for when you want to perform with it, and it's very easy to ditch the magnet after you have done performing. This is a holder I made in a Sharpie. It can hold 2 magnets, and this allows me to have the magnets ready on the Sharpie, and when I take it out from my pocket, usually the inner pocket of your jacket, but you can also do this with any other pocket, is simply take out the Sharpie and secretly load the magnet onto your finger. This is also a great way to ditch the magnet at the end of the performance, as you insert it into the pocket and you will leave the magnet attached to the Sharpie. What I did here is insert a magnet into the Sharpie so that the Sharpie not only works, but it's also used as a magnet holder. What I did is use a square narrow magnet for this, and what I've done is stick it in between the ink sponge and the plastic wall of the Sharpie. With this particular Sharpie I actually hid 2 magnets inside instead of 1, making it a double magnet holder for 2 magnets instead of 1. You can also have a small magnet all the way inside the cap of the Sharpie and use this as the magnet holder. The magnet will attach to the top of the Sharpie. I personally do not like this solution because I prefer the magnet at the center, but this is something that I wanted to share with you in case you want to use it. Hey guys, Menny Lindenfeld here, and I'm super excited to bring you one of my most closely guarded underground secrets in mentalism. Occultatum is a psychological system that has been my secret weapon for over a decade. Imagine this: a participant hides a personal object, for example her ring, in one of many boxes. She has a real free choice to hide the object. She can freely mix the object as much as she wants to. You can be blindfolded or even out of the room during this process. And when you come back, you genuinely do not know where the object hides. And yet, without the use of electronics or magnets, and without asking the spectator any questions, you will be able to guess where the object hides using the occultatum psychological system. You can apply the system for close-up, stage, or fully impromptu using everyday objects. The method is bulletproof and works with a 100% accuracy every time. Occultatum is your secret mentalism weapon that will make you feel like a real psychic every time you'll demonstrate it. Do you have a personal object, like a ring or something that I can use? Yes, please. Can you place the ring right here? And in a moment, I'm going to turn my head around. And I want you to place the ring in any box. Then mix the boxes and then place one here and one here. And I'm going to turn my head and you can start. And whenever you're ready, let me know. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Just think of your ring the entire time. I think I know where the ring is. Take it out. Let's do this one more time. I'm going to turn my head again. Take the ring, put it in any box like before. You can mix them as much as you want. I'm not looking.
I'm ready.
Okay. Right there. We have a few beer caps here. Mark any one of them and then mix them up.
Shut up. How did you know? I mixed them up. You didn't even see me mix them.
I want you to hide the coin in any box you want, but you do this only after I turn my head.
Yeah. That's it.
Take it out.
Awesome, bro.
I put my ring in the box and it was 8 boxes and somehow it just know where is my ring. I don't know how it did that. It was amazing. I'm in shock. Wow! Oh my God!
You can actually even touch it right here. Can you feel it really in there? It's really inside. You can actually see it right inside. And of course, I'm going to let you check the cellophane. Make sure it's completely normal.
Yes. Wow.
And of course, you have the card as well. With your signature right there. And you can keep this as a souvenir.